Here, calling each other by name is against the rules. After all, the dead tend not to have much use for whatever names they once had, let alone care. But they mark us, give us numbers, cut into the dog tags, and isn't that just a lovely watered down way to say dog collar, perhaps can nail to our necks? That's how the Aldens found mangled remains when our features are eventually stripped of tissue, muscle, bone, sometimes nothingness. Even when I can no longer recognise them, no longer summon to mind that string of sounds. There's the numbers. That's all we are. I try to remember it other ways though. Like this guy ferreting around in our scanty supply cache. Arian or Elias or something along those lines. Mostly I just know him as the one who wears his sleeves rumpled up whenever he can afford to, as if to show off the burn scars. That or the bumper crop of hairs growing in swathes. And there's others. The one who's constantly chewing tobacco like it's bubblegum. The one with the lisp. The one that might have had a tongue cut out at some point and only speaks in grunts and expressions. Even if I hadn't been against the rules to ask, I wonder if many of them can even remember their own names at this point. Remember anything besides the numbers engraved into their skin, tongues, brains. Tags. Sound swells with the knot of soldiers, and my eyes flicker to them. The one who's constantly chewing tobacco says something I don't catch, and there's scattered laughter. These ones then haven't learned to scrub up their faces and pin stony masks on in their place just yet. Neither has the woman next to them who snorts along and shakes her head. Her at least, I know. She's Leah. I've always thought her laugh has a sort of synthetic tinge to it. Like she told herself how to. They don't ask questions either, nobody does. Nobody can. When our strings are jerked, we dance. Full space, back straight, eyes blank. We're toys with no story, no home, no name. Wrapped in plastic and locked in a box, where the only difference between us is which ones get broken first. That's why they took our names. We're not people to them. We're just numbers. Just puppets. Just cannon fodder. There's movement, and I'm jogged from my thoughts. Small troops being led along by taller and more powerful ones like baby dogs. Their shoulders square, guns too big for them slung around their backs. Though it's gotten hard to gauge how old anyone is. Their smooth faces say they're maybe 11 or 12. They're starting out later than I did, I note vaguely. Some of us, we didn't get to make that choice. We weren't asked, we were told. And as for most of the others, well, they probably just wanted to fool themselves into thinking they belong somewhere again. Not that it matters now. Now, we're all just more tin soldiers in a box of thousands. Stand to attention. Deafen yourself to the noise, the screaming, the ringing blasts, the sobbing, blazing prayers, shots, pleading. Sidestep the amount of gore and guts that used to be a squad mate like it's nothing. Know that it'll be you someday, and keep going anyway. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Somehow, it's not that easy to see nobility or honour in any of it when I have to look at it every single day. Usually through a haze of bullets and dust, with a rainstorm of red, red, red. My head gives an automatic shake in a flimsy attempt to clear itself, free itself, wash away the stains. It never works. Not since I move like wet concrete, just enough to shift my sightline down, and study the weapon my grip has been taught to mould itself to. I think I was a few months shy of my 9th birthday the first time somebody pressed one of these into my hands and christened me number 1446. Their words plucked at the strings twisted themselves around my limbs, instructing me to transform my hands and head into the same cold steel, stare at the gate-mouthed dummy and picture some poor bastard of flesh and blood. If I focus hard enough, I can still trace the bruises kickback stamped onto my chest. The mutters behind me. Rapping got another up in. It's fine, it's normal, they'll learn soon enough. I'll learn. The overseers like to call them arms, but they're not. Arms are what hairy-lipped old relatives hug you with. These ones, I guess they're what you get when nobody hugs you enough. That fact punches me in the chest when I finally, allowed, as they say, to sink down in front of a blank email box. I don't phone anymore. Too much stalling the moment we have to face that there's nothing to say. Too much strain, so much you could snap, or one of us might. It's too much. Besides, toy soldiers aren't supposed to feel. I'm not a betting person, but I'd venture that's why our calls are wiretapped, or email censored. Only none of us can so much as bring it up, don't ask questions, let alone do anything about it. Leaner fingers tap out a name in their own sweet time, and then press enter just to have something to occupy themselves with. For all the good it does. The cursor blinks just as sluggishly on its new line. Good evening. Ha. Ha ha ha. Backspace. I hope this message finds you well. What am I, an opium-addled detective? Backspace. In the end, I dredge up the simplest greeting that comes to me. And now... what? What now? The sun went down fast tonight. It's starting to get a little colder here, day by day. I'd have better luck trying to find to a book character. Something throbs sharp and heavy between my eyes, like a knife's been taken to my skull. Move it, 1446, you had more than long enough as it is. My hands jerk, a string of stray letters materialises on the screen. And that's as good a way as any to navigate the thorny how are yous, I suppose. Banging on the wall. Loud, so loud, piercing my head, splitting it open. Don't think you can get away with hiding in there. Get your bone-idle arse out here now. I miss you. Backspace. I'm not sending it. We glimpsed them on the road at daybreak, born from the russet-tinted clouds of dust. Hunched bodies shambling along, wrapped in scarves, oversized coats, threadbare rugs torn from the floor, or curtains from an empty frame. Beneath some, a flushed face or a hand no bigger than a flower peeps out. A barefoot teenager carrying a decrepit old man on their back, teetering on the edges of a scrubland they must know is littered with landmines. Clusters of huddled families trying in vain to beg a lift from what few cars they can. All of them leaving behind nothing, bound for the other side of nowhere. I wedge myself into a corner, gun clenched close, where else would it be, and slip into a very old game of mine. One where I make believe that I can't see, or think, or feel. Voices from behind me echo around my skull. Inches from the roadside, a boy jerks up his head as if he called his name. He stands there in what looks like every article he owns, following our tanker with his eyes long after it rolls past him. His mouth says nothing, yet a stare screams a million curses. It should be laughable. That much hatred splattered across the features of someone who's, 10 or so? But it's not, because I must have been the same age the day I first had a kill to my name. Did it exactly the way drilled into us. Slip behind your target. Target, not person. It's against the rules to ever think they count as people. Clamp one hand over their mouth, tight. And with the other, drive your shivers deep into their larynx as you can. Twist, twist, and don't pull it out until the gurgling and convulsing stops. The ghosts of those red spurts flash violent the pages of a flip book. And I slam the cover down and shove them in the back of my mind where I don't have to look at them, where they belong. Some things are best left to gather dust, especially when I'll still wear them like a shroud wherever I go, and that deals out my punishment just fine. I try to pull my knees up to my chest, the gun bars their way. A graveyard of fractured tanks is the only thing on the horizon. What are we doing here? Tonight, our shabby excuse for a camp is deep in the cold grey crevice of a mountain scarfed with snowdrifts, where not even the moon can look upon us. Safer that way. Whatever that means anymore. At least there's some chance that nobody will alert any threats when they start shrieking in their sleep. They always shriek. It rings high and clear and terrified in the darkest corners of my brain. But I've grown acquainted with those corners over the years. With the bleak wailing of the wind as my companion, I'm keeping watch. Over what, I'm not sure. Other than a dozen tin soldiers. That's all. lumps of human-shaped metal whom nobody would miss. Funny how the same people who claim to need our services so much in one breath can replace every single one of us so easily in the next. Got your head in the clouds, 1446? She halts 6 feet away from me, as if I'm diseased. Hell, maybe I am. 1459. That's what Arian and Elias Sleep Boy's got etched on the tag strung around his neck. Has his negative knot about it not being your turn to do night shift. And if he's right, that means you're breaking the schedule. Should have guessed. This kind of thing tends to make up most of our nighttime chats. You can come inside, or you can sit out here freezing your ass off and then explain to everyone else why you think the rules don't apply to you in the morning. I don't twitch. The strings might break if I do. They're all the same way. The bitch of it is that none of them realise yet. Leah turns in the direction of the bronze smudges still clinging to the horizon, taking with her a mutter that sounds a lot like Bristol Pit. I watch her until the melting greyness swallows her up, just to see her footfalls on the dirt, short and stiff. Quite wet, soldier. Eventually my stare rose heavenward. No clouds float across this building sky, except for the clumps of snow carried by the tug of the wind, and the jerking and screeching of the sleepers behind me. Nothing moves. Until it does. One single quiet rustle. One Glock pistol, gripped in a fingerless grey glove, lurking in the skeleton of a tree. That's all it takes. Not a spray of artillery, not a grenade, not so much as a whisper. But to me, and whoever else is watching, it's as clear as if they carved it into our heads. The chase is on. We will find you. Another jerk of the puppet strings, and my hair trigger hand is the one that fires first. None of us linger to watch the jets of red cut an arc through the frozen air. Tin soldier bodies scatter like ants on a tabletop. Tiny, insignificant, weak. Just seconds ago, half of us were fleeing the demons of our dreams. Our pursuers are solid flesh, and they plan our send us straight to hell just the same. A deathly hail rips into the air around me, erupts in my ears and in my head. No fear, no pain. I'm vaguely aware of a mixture of snow and mud biting into my soles at every step. Brittle branches scratching dead fingers against my face. Barbed wire clawing a gash into my fatigues, my arm. Don't care. Run until there's no metal, I mean skin, left to feel it, and then crawl if I have to. Lungs searing with desperation for air. Throat dry, so painfully dry. Yet my 10 feet carry me on, further and further, faster and faster, as though I can outrun my own destiny. 8. 8 fell down. Less than half got up again. My charges crawled through the fallout, with the blindfolds around my heart and my gut, turning over remains, examining tags. Do not falter, do not stop. Blackish smears stain my hands, a testimony to misused lives, or they could just be splinters of sanity. I do halt then, hunched on my knees in rusty scarlet snow, because that my shivering thought isn't unwelcome. So what if I rust into tiny little pieces? Maybe then I'd be allowed to leave, to finally climb out of this metal cage, fling it away and salvage my own skin, mind, voice, to breathe again. But no. No second lives. No continues. Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you like this story, feel free to check out my writing blog where you can find more, and some other stuff too.